Hey guys, Brian with Buffalo Beer Reviews, back with another brew day. Today we're going to be doing kind of a variation of the last homebrew I did, which was Citra Wallpaper. Today we're going to be doing Simcoe Wallpaper. Excuse the mess in my garage. Our trusty old refrigerator died, so I had to get it emptied. The new one's going to be delivered in about 2 hours. I had to get everything cleaned out. There's all my hops I got in there. So, like I said, today's Simcoe Wallpaper. So I've got a pound of Simcoe. I've got Amarillo here. I kind of semi-forgot that I had already bought an 8-ounce packet of Amarillo as well. Let me see what this recipe I've changed it a couple of times. So the Simcoe Wallpaper is going to be my skeleton, my go-to sort of grist is going to be either 10 pounds of Maris Otter or 10 pounds of pale two-row, whether it's going to be a variation like the last time I did 7 pounds of Maris Otter, 3 pounds of two-row, just because that's what I had laying around and I didn't want to waste anything. With some Cara pills, a little bit of color, and then a pound and a half of flaked oats and flaked wheat. And that adjusts according to maybe how the wind is blowing that day. Sometimes it's a pound and a half, sometimes it's 2 pounds, sometimes it's 2 pounds of the oats and only 1 pound of the wheat. I don't know. And I've found that I know like people like to add this calcium chloride, 1 gram per gallon into the mash. I find it, to me, it has a very distinctive sort of taste, and I can tell exactly which beers have been brewed with the calcium chloride. And I know it gives the body a nice sort of fullness and stuff like that. So what I've been doing is I've scaled it back to about 3/4 of what should be in there. If I make a 5-gallon, 6-gallon batch of beer, I only put about 4 grams of calcium chloride in. It gives the body enough of an oomph without being really detectable. And what I've started using for this wallpaper line is First Wort hop additions. So you can see we're rocking and rolling. I've already got the mash in. We've got about a half hour left, and then I'm gonna start with my first Wort hop additions. This time it's gonna be only a 1/4 ounce of Simcoe First Wort hop addition, followed by an ounce of Amarillo. No, I'm sorry. My first hop addition is going to be Simcoe at 20 minutes, 3/4 of an ounce. Then an ounce of each Amarillo and Simcoe at 15 minutes, and then an ounce of Simcoe at 10, then an ounce of Amarillo at 5, and then an ounce and a half of Simcoe at flame out. And then I'm going to just dry hop. I really haven't come up with the dry hopping yet. I just assume maybe an ounce of each. I usually ferment for about 10 days on these IPAs. So like day 3 out of 10, after that yeast what's it called? The krasen. After that real big yeast kind of wakes up, it's like day 3 out of 10, I'll add some, and then day 6 out of 10. So you get like another 4 days, either 6 or 7 out of 10. You get like a nice little late dry hop sort of rush to it, and those aromas really do come out in force. Do you know what I mean? That's really about it for me until we start picking up with the hop additions. It's just kind of a lot of sitting and waiting for the temperatures to come up. Do you know what I mean? So I'll kind of pick back up with my hop additions and stuff like that, and then we'll see how this thing looks in about 2 weeks, and we'll get it onto the channel again. Cool. All right, mash is done. We seem to hit my temperatures just fine. I was shooting for 151, and I was anywhere from like 150 to like 150.9 the whole time. I don't consider that a defeat by any means. I've just now pulled the mash out, right? So pulled the mash out. I have like 1.35 gallons ish, almost 2 gallons that I sparge with. I shoot for right about 170 degrees, maybe 175 by the time that I get the boiling semi-warm water on the stand. I pull everything out. It kind of drifts to about 168, which is what I'm happy with. Then I take my little Pyrex and I sparge over my mash. You can kind of see, yeah? I can't see up there. I'm not that tall. And then I really try to sparge to a final boil kettle of about 6.75 gallons. And I'll tell you why. So the 6.75 gallons at the beginning of the boil will allow me to have some evaporation loss. Usually about 3/4 of a gallon I've noticed over that hour of boil. So that brings you down to about 6 gallons that is in your brew kettle. And then from there, there's little incidentals like, you always have a little bit of kind of leftover kind of gunk at the bottom of the kettle. And then that really gives me about like 5.75 to 6 gallons in the fermenter. And then that allows me to kind of lose maybe a half gallon to the trub during dry hopping. So I kind of really shoot for like the 6.75 at the end of sparging, and then throughout the steps of the brewing process, that volume will go down and down and down. I'll tell you, there's nothing I think more frustrating for myself than to buy the ingredients and set up for brew day and spend 4.5 hours brewing and cleaning up, and then 10 days to ferment it, and then you kind of transfer it over to your keg, and you've got like 3.5 gallons. Like that's a lot of work and waiting for, in my opinion, for 3.5 gallons of beer in a keg. So I try to get as much as possible out of my brew day and into my kegs so that I can enjoy a whole nother gallon or 1.25 gallons of beer for these little steps. So I'll pick back up. I already threw my first wort hop addition in almost right as soon as I lifted this out of the kettle. So my 1/4 ounce of Simcoe. Simcoe? Yeah, my 1/4 ounce of Simcoe is already in there and being first worted, boiled, and all that goodness. I'll pick back up after we're already done boiling and we're doing our late boil additions. All right? All right, guys. We are, let me just pause the music here. We are just reaching boiling temperatures and slow rolling boil. What I've found also amongst my first couple of batches is as well and good as it is that you need to add your wort chiller, with 20-30 minutes left. I find that a lot of times with these real late boil hop additions is that once I put the chiller in, like the temperature of the water will kind of go below boiling because of the difference in temperature of this copper chiller. So what I've started to do, honestly, is I just throw right when I reach a nice rolling boil. I'm at like 212, 215 degrees. As I just put my wort chiller and my hop spider in, and I don't have anything going to it or out of it, so it's just sitting there for the hour as well. And that way, me putting the wort chiller in at a half hour with a half hour left, and then I'm trying to put hop additions in at 20 minutes. Sometimes it gets a little hairy. Is the water boiling again? Is it, what is the actual temperature of the water? This way I know when I put my hops in at 20 minutes, at 15, at 10, at 5, or whatever it is, that water is back up to boiling temperatures, and it's just one less thing off the top of my head. I got the Beersmith app, and we are like in official Beersmith sort of mode today, right? So I got the countdown going. It's got the different steps. I'm at the boil now, right? The boil, and then it's got the different sort of steps. 36 minutes until the next sort of step, which is going to be my first hop addition. Boom. My first hop addition. I have my second hop addition already weighed out. That's like an ounce of Amarillo and an ounce of Simcoe. I've got my yeast out, getting to room temperature and activated. And then I've got my other Amarillo and Simcoe in the back here, ready to be weighed out and added as needed. I've been really pleased with brew day so far. Things are getting easier. You've got 15 batches under your belt, so you don't always have to be reading the ingredients. You just kind of know what to do at what time, and that's it. So we'll come back in with the hop additions and stuff like that. So I'll see you guys in a little. All right, we're just coming up on the end of, I guess, step one. We're coming up on our first hop addition. It's going to be a 20-minute addition of Simcoe, 3/4 of an ounce. And I wanted to kind of pull this up because I don't really know what the Beersmith app is going to do. This is the first time I've ever used it. So let's see what it does. It's coming down 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Kind of gives us an alert up at the top to add 3/4, add ingredient. I'm going to hit OK. And you can see it's highlighted. Simcoe, boil for 20 minutes. Okay. And then our next step is in 5 minutes. This is kind of where it gets, a little interesting. Oh, I got to take the top off. Once we start getting into these late hop additions, right? It's a 2015. What else do I have? A 2015, a 10, a 5, and then a flame out. You know what I mean? So it's like boom, 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 one after another, and you kind of are busy. It's nice. So, all right, I'll pick back up in just a few moments. This should be interesting. I thought I was going to have a little bit more time on my brew day before my new refrigerator was delivered. I just got the phone call. It's going to be here in 10 minutes. So it'll be a different type of brew day. I got my hoses on the ground, but I got enough slack. We can get them up over a little refrigerator. Do you know what I mean? But coming up on minute and a half for my next hop addition, it's going to be 1 ounce of Amarillo and 1 ounce of Simcoe. I've got it all kind of stuffed into this one hop packet. So this entire 2 ounce hop addition is going to go in there in about 1 minute and 20 seconds. Oh my gosh. This is really my first time working with the Simcoe hop, and it smells awesome. I really kind of wanted to get a Simcoe recipe under my belt because there are a couple of beers made locally that are very Simcoe forward. Like the Pressure Drop did that Rogue Space Monkey, and that was a very Simcoe-esque New England IPA, and I loved it. So I wanted to kind of see what I could do with a Simcoe sort of recipe. So Simcoe Amarillo, I guess that seems to be the most popular sort of pairing online. So I'll keep an eye on the lookout for some more Simcoe recipes. But again, like I said, 25 seconds, ounce of Amarillo, ounce of Simcoe. All right, an exciting brew day, guys. New refrigerator is in and installed. I got the hour boil done. I'm doing a flame out edition of 1.25 ounces of the Simcoe. That's in a hop sock, so I can take this hop spider full of all of that amazing sort of hoppy pelletized vegetal matter that really does retain a lot of heat, and I feel as though, you know, it's just excess material you have to cool down. It's going to lengthen out your cooling time. You know, you've got this metal sort of mesh thing that is also has temperature that you have to cool. So this is out, and I usually do my flame out additions in a hop sock. It's not an enormous amount of volume of hops, and it's able to kind of steep in the wort as it's being cooled. It really is. It's not bad. The whole process has been pretty reliable. I'm at 143 degrees and dropping. So it's nice. 142. So I'm already down 80 degrees. Every now and then I'll kind of give the wort chiller a little bit of a up and down. It kind of gets the wort going all around, and it gets a little bit more thorough cooling. You can just see I went from 141 to 139. So that's really about it for me in brew day. I'm just going to start kind of cleaning up as my wort's coming down to temperature, and then we'll get this into the fermenter and pitch the yeast. I've had some really good luck with my beers lately. I'm really pleased by the whole process. So I'm hoping that this Simcoe Wallpaper comes out just as enjoyable as the rest of the beers. So after it's done fermenting for 10 days, I've found a good little rule of thumb is like another 4 days of kind of aging in the keg, and it really does mellow all of the real green immature flavors out. So I will shoot this onto another episode of Buffalo Beer Reviews, and I'll show you guys what Simcoe Wallpaper looks like in about 2 weeks. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Cheers.